Joe, have you heard about the guy who invented knock-knock jokes?
No.
He just won the Nobel Prize.
Oh, God, forgive me, I laughed.
Hey, this is Jacques.
I'm Joe.
And welcome to Carnival Personnel.
You're in rare form this afternoon.
You actually laugh. And you feel bad about you, the one person.
I feel so much shame. I would rather have been caught masturbating by my priest.
Oh, now see, now you're just teeing up priest jokes, you know.
Oh, you know me too well.
First of all, happy birthday, Joseph.
What? What?
Not happy birthday.
No, not happy birthday. No, not that. Please, no, not happy birthday.
Yep. You're baking me a cake. I'm twirling the party favor.
You got the hat on.
I got my hat on. Oh, man. I gotta blow out these candles because they're not candles. Oh, man. That was dynamite. And now I'm dead.
That was for your benefit, my benefit, and Peter's benefit only, I believe. But seriously, man, I hope you had a good one. You do anything fun and exciting?
I can't remember.
Just my wife. Oh!
And
with the fun, exciting, too.
And then now. No, we just had a nice day inside of 97-degree heat with 100% humidity. No air conditioning, though. That I can guarantee you. But then we went to my wife's aunt's house for dinner. They have air conditioning, so we stayed there for like an extra 4 hours after we were told to leave.
Right, exactly. Was there air conditioning in the squad car that drove you away?
Yes.
So good. Well, tomorrow, are you coming with us to the festivities?
Oh, they drive in? Maybe. I know that it would be just me and the boys if we did go. But I am excited to possibly see again in hopefully 60-degree, cold, maybe 50 degrees if we're lucky. Back to the Future, and
don't forget the mosquitoes and Jaws. And especially after listening, because Joe and I are big fans of the Gilbert Gottfried podcast, and he had the guy who wrote Jaws on a couple weeks ago, and this will be the first time I've seen it post listening to that interview, which, by the way, we're big fans of the Gilbert podcast, but that particular episode, if you like the movie Jaws, it's
a must listen.
It really is amazing. Like the stories about, you knew a lot about the stories about the shark that didn't work, and the funny thing is they tested the shark. I think it was made at UCLA, I believe. So I blame you, All-Star Tommy. But they tested the shark, and it was great in a regular water tank.
In a freshwater tank.
Brought it out to Cape Cod, put it in the ocean, sink.
Damn you, salt!
The funny thing is, do you know the name of the shark that they named the shark in the production?
No.
It was named Bruce after Spielberg's lawyer.
Oh, and that's why they referenced that in Finding Nemo.
Finding Nemo, right. But that's why it's called Bruce. But if you hear the podcast, the story is about who was drunk on set, and it's not who was drunk, it's how drunk were they is the question.
Right, it was the guy who played Quint. There's a scene, apparently, the big monologue scene with Quint is apparently 2 takes. One not so drunk, one very drunk, glossy-eyed drunk. And you can kind of tell, and I say kind of lightly, you can tell which's take is which. And by the way, speaking of the shark and Bruce and it failing, did that song "Don't Let Me Down, Bruce"? Was that about?
I believe so. Don't let me down. ELO.
Yes, Electric Light Orchestra.
Thank you.
And you win.
So yeah, I'm looking forward to that. Also, one of the fun things is who hated each other on set.
Right.
And the extent of which the disdain went for people trapped on a boat for months shooting this, because it went. I mean, the story of the movie is amazing. It went weeks, if not months, over budget because of things like the shark, because of weather, and all these things. And here, these people who didn't like each other to begin with in close
In close quarters, yeah.
For that long. And then, and what role did the writer play? Because it wasn't supposed to be a tiny role, and then it just kept expanding.
Oh, Carl Gottlieb was the writer. He's, by the way, Iron Balls McGinty in The Jerk, which we did not know.
Yeah, shame on us.
Yeah, big time shame. And shame on you, especially because I had not seen Jaws.
Oh, right.
And, yeah, I mean, I guess reading's not your strong suit because those credits come up and...
Management gives me crap all the time because I don't read credits. And it like I told you, there's been incidents...
Or give it.
Hey. But no, I'm looking forward to it. Like, we love the drive-in. The little guys love the drive-in. It's a fun night out. I assume they have the same rigmarole with the DeLorean there and the wax figures and all that stuff. I would guess it would be there.
They might, yeah, they probably will. I mean, there aren't that many venues. I don't know if I'm sure that at Fan Expo they had the DeLorean there too. I'm guessing, right? You were there at Fan Expo. Do you know if they had a?
Yeah, I didn't. We were there the second day, and so I don't know. But the one that they had the drive-in last year was real. They had the two. Remember the junior varsity one and the one that was pimped. Should we dress as like the Libyan terrorists?
Yeah, that's a good idea. Whenever going to a populated public area, dress as a Libyan terrorist or terrier,
and then go. Because the whole duck thing. I think 4 people there would enjoy it.
I think if we pulled up in the Volkswagen van, that.
Yep.
I think that might turn some heads.
So I'm looking forward to it. But if you went to see this, how many times would this have been a Back to the Future 1 viewing do you think you've seen?
I would have to say 100 somewhere in there. It has to be. It has to be. I'd seen it on videotape for so many years and then DVD, Blu-ray. In an actual theater, I probably had only seen it twice. They played it once in Harvard Square as part of a trilogy. And then when I saw it with you at the drive-in last year. So this would be my third if I were to go or if I had already went.
Yes. We had a great time.
Right. Oh, God, yes.
I badgered Joe into doing it.
And you know what?
And he thanked me for going.
Yes, and I thank you for making me dress up as a Libyan terrorist. I didn't know how well that would play out.
Have you seen Louis C.K.?
No, I have not seen, nor has most people.
But he's back, as you've heard. I take it
like herpes.
Yeah.
We
talked about that before, and Joe didn't believe me. I told him, look it up. Nearly 2/3 of the world's population have herpes simplex 1.
Wow. Absolutely.
Wait, but that's like a cold sore. If you've ever had a cold sore, that's herpes.
Yeah.
And it doesn't go away.
I guess I have herpes. I probably have, because I do get cold sores.
Then you have herpes.
All right.
I don't
give them, though. It's all mine. But... Well,
that escalated quickly.
Right. Well, who should have herpes? Louis C.K.
Louis C.K. I'm sure he does.
Yeah. Well, so he performed last Sunday night at the Comedy Cellar unannounced for a 15-minute spot with new material that he's working on. Brand new material. I guess there were people there who gave him a standing ovation, but it was a side bag kind of thing, where he was unannounced, and maybe some people that went to see comedy that night didn't want to see Louis C.K. and were probably pissed about it. But it's better, easier to ask for forgiveness than to beg for mercy. That or permission or whatever that saying is.
Well, the old one is it's easier to get forgiveness than it is permission.
Yeah.
You have any thoughts on him coming back?
Fuck him. Honestly, like he fucked up, and I saw that Michael Ian Black on Twitter prefaced his first tweet about the situation with, I'm going to get a lot of heat for this.
Right.
But I think that, we need to, there has to be some sort of road to redemption or rehabilitation, blah, 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 blah. And he got taken to task for it, rightfully so, because as a lot of people called out and pointed out, he didn't really do any rehab. He was called out by many female comedians for masturbating in front of him and putting them in very awkward and uncomfortable and unprofessional and kind of dangerous situations. And he admitted to it. So these aren't even alleged. He admitted to it publicly. He went away. He lost his show or whatever. He stopped working. And he went away for what, a year or so?
Like 9 months.
9 months. Okay. So, and then on his own terms, under his own volition, he said, "You know what? I think I'm ready to pull up the shades, to take a shower, change my underwear, and go out in public and perform publicly. And you know what? I'm sure lots of people are going to be fine with it." And then just that's it. Like, not even like there's no rehabilitation. He didn't do shit. He just went away and then decided on his own to just come back. Like, where's the recompense for victims in that situation? You know, what kind of message is that? And again, what kind of message is that sent to everybody out there going, you know what? If you're, big enough and strong enough in this industry and you do something bad, you can go away and people will forgive you when you come back. Or most people will, at least. The paying kind will.
I don't know if I'm playing devil advocate because I had this discussion with management last night, and I think you know what side of the bench she comes in on.
She hates women.
It hates them,
yeah.
Bitches. But seriously,
her words, not yours.
I'm a little torn with this because what kind of he lost his show. He didn't do stand-up for 9 months. And this is a guy who was doing stand-up at the 5,000 to 10,000, venue places. He wasn't, doing the Chuckle Huck in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. He was doing the big places, the places right now that the Jim Gaffigans and stuff like that are packing and filling out. I mean, there's no way to say that he didn't lose years of the show Louis, if he wanted to. He had another movie that was shot and produced and it was, ready for distribution that got pulled.
And he had to fly his friends to the Super Bowl in a plane without cushioned seats like an animal.
Oh, send them away. There's a lot more needier people than me.
All right, so he doesn't have gold-plated faucets this time.
No, but I mean, he lost a lot of money. Now, here's my question. What if Louis C.K. was just a guy flipping burgers at Burger King and this happened? Does that mean he wouldn't be allowed to come back and flip burgers at like a different fast food joint?
It's apples and oranges. Guy flipping burgers is not a position in a position of power.
Right, but this is his profession. Is he never allowed to work again?
You know what? It's honestly,
and I'm just asking. I'm not saying one way or another, but
if he's allowed to work again, if there is a road to redemption, just taking a time out and then coming back unannounced and popping in isn't the way to do it. Like, you think, the guy's been in entertainment for most of his adult life, if not all of his adult life. He knows how to play the game. He knows how optics are in entertainment, how important optics are, and how important reputation is, and how important perception is. Like, he's not that he can't possibly. He's probably the most self-aware person, except for this one thing.
It's funny because that was an interesting argument that I've heard. Like, he's a woke person. He had routines about how awful predators are. I mean, he was very self-aware when, bringing up, that people prey on X, Y, and Z. So that kind of makes it worse. The question is, again, should Mike Vick have been allowed to play football? Well, that's his only profession. That's the only thing that he's ever done that could do. He went away. He served his time. And isn't that supposed to be like, okay, you served, you broke this law, he lost untold millions, he lost a couple years of his life. Does it mean he can't come and do what he's...
To be honest, I think anybody who wants to hire anybody within the rights, within the confines of the law, can do so. It's just that as far as like expecting acceptance and expecting people to be okay with it because, he went away, he lost a whole lot of money because he jacked off in front of some, poor innocent girls, and now it's all better. No, you can be like the freedom of speech argument. You have the right to say the N-word at the Apollo Theater if you want to. If you want to, and I know you do. but you also have to be ready to accept the consequences. And I think, you know what? Maybe Louis C.K. is just rolling the dice and saying, you know what? I'm going to fucking do this. And, you know, if people are going to be... He's not an online guy. I'm sure he goes online, but he doesn't have an online presence anymore. Like, he doesn't have a Facebook page, and which is ironic because his whole business model was publishing his works online exclusively, direct to the consumer. Like, he publishes Live at the Beacon, I think it was Live at the Beacon, his comedy special, where he didn't go through a Netflix. He went directly to the internet from his website, charged people $5, almost like a tip jar. Like, you could watch it for free and leave money in the donation link, and kind of built a business model that way, and it worked for him. Horace and Pete, the TV show that he worked on, like, he did that all out of his own money. So he's like and he's also unique in the sense that he doesn't answer to like management. He doesn't have a PR person. He doesn't have like an agency that I know of.
Not anymore.
Yeah, he never had agency. But I don't know. As far as what I was trying to say is that it's like the freedom of speech argument. You have the right to say whatever you want within the rules of law, and just be fine with it in this country as long as you're willing to accept the consequences. And Louis C.K. can go to a venue if they'll have him, and do his act, but he'll have to accept the consequences, as will the venues. Venues that host Louis C.K. like this are probably going to get fucking backlash. They're probably, who knows? It could put a dent in their attendance. It could put, calls for boycotts of places like the Comedy Cellar if they do this kind of shit again. I don't know. It's kind of because there was no, I guess, law broken, that he's not going to go to court or trial or anything like that. It's all court of public opinion. So
right, because I think the people whose voice was finally heard on this, there was a statute of limitation thing, so they couldn't sue and he couldn't be arrested for it.
Right. So exactly. So all of this is self-imposed and imposed by, I guess, the jurisdiction of the comedy industry, right, of the entertainment industry. If FX wants to give them a show in a year, fine. Just be ready for the shitstorm coming your way.
Yeah, I mean, with the Michael Vick thing, part of him coming back is he had to do a bunch of PSA. He had to do public service. I mean, and there's still people who never forgive him. I wouldn't forgive him. I mean, I think drowning dogs with your hands are unforgivable. But the court had him do some stuff. But also, when the Eagles were the first team to take a flyer on him, the owner is mandated. It's like, you're going to go and do this public outreach. You're going to go, and try. So I don't know if there is some.
And then, by the way, with Michael Vick, the NFL is the only game in town, to be honest with you, for anybody on that level, unless you want to go to fucking arena football. God forbid.
Right. Well, that's a funny thing, because management, again, was like, they shouldn't let him play. And back then, a couple of years ago, what I was trying to explain to her, I mean, it's the biggest game on the planet, and there's only 32 people. There's only of the 8 billion people on the planet. There's only 32 people out there who have starting jobs in the NFL, and honestly, there's only 15 really good ones. And when he came back, I mean, there was a good season and a half window where he was awesome, and the difference between winning, 8 regular season games versus 10, it's a home playoff game, and the team decided it's well worth the $50 million we'll make by hosting a home playoff game if we have. And again, I don't forgive it, but that's the thing. If you flip burgers, you can go back to your life. And
not really. Look, okay, let's think about the flipping burgers guy. Okay, average guy, non-managerial, kind of a ne'er-do-well or whatever. Gets caught jerking off in front of somebody at his work, right?
Go on.
It depends. With something like that, I would say that within like the law, you probably you can get them on indecent exposure if you want to make a big deal out of it, or if you just want to reprimand the person and fire them. He has the the relative luxury of anonymity. You know, his story is not going to be front page news. His story and his life and his livelihood isn't hinged upon public acceptance. He doesn't need to win over the crowd to go to Burger King instead of McDonald's to do his job. He just has to not be caught doing something like that again, and also not have that on his record. You know, if there's an arrest record, then that's gonna follow him to whatever job he goes to. If there isn't an arrest record, if there's no criminal record or anything like that, if there's not even a complaint, the only thing that he won't get is a reference from the job where he got fired from for jerking off. So that's the thing, is that it's two wildly different things. One person is a complete loser, and the other guy flips burgers. So you got two different.
Well done.
But you know what I'm saying?
No, I do.
It's entertainment industry versus burgers is not the same thing.
My next question to you, and I'm putting you on the spot. You justify this. No.
By the way, the guy flipping the burgers didn't have his own office where he, called in, somebody else to watch him masturbate. And
that's how I got on this podcast. And, so here's my next, devil's advocate. Like, I don't know if that's. What if Louis C.K. had gone out and apologized and had a real heartfelt statement saying, this was wrong. I abused my power. I shouldn't have put these people, like, throw himself on the sword. My questions, and seriously, think about this. My management, she's not going to say, oh, well, okay, go back to, your life as you knew it. It's going to be his publicist told him to say that. Oh, he really didn't mean that. Well, it still happened, and those people can't unsee him.
I'm a little confused by what you're saying. Are you saying that
had Louis C.K.
had not done that?
No, 6 months ago, a year ago, as this broke, comes out and throws himself on the sword. So he has apologized.
Yeah, that was like that's what I said at the top of this discussion, is that he was caught, came out, had a very public open letter saying, I'm a fucking dickhead. It's a problem. It's whatever. I take full responsibility. I should never have done something like that. He definitely did that.
See, last night I was being part of the lecture series. He never apologized, and he never made up. He never paid restitution to these people.
I think he made a public apology. I don't think he'd ever individually called them. According to the victims, they never got a phone call.
Would you want a phone call?
I don't know. Honestly, it's to each person. Myself, I would be the, hide under a bunch of coats and wait until it all goes away kind of person. I wouldn't be brave enough to probably come out and say something like that publicly, that happened, if Louis C.K. jacked off in front of me. I mean, I tell you and the podcast listeners, but then nobody would hear it, though. So that's the problem.
So, as you said, Michael Ian Black had said some, other comedians have weighed in. Do you know what comedic legend has been, deathly silent over this?
Neil Simon.
Indeed, Neil Simon. was that? Did you see the bus coming off the highway 2 miles ago?
Yeah, and it was honking and with fireworks.
Too soon.
Yes.
So Neil Simon passed away this week. We've talked about him in the past. The second half of last century, he's in the conversation for, top 5, at least top 10, definitely top 10, comedy like playwrights. I loved his work because I'm 75 years old, and I remember when Sid Caesar, had the, went from radio to TV, and he was part of that writing crew forever. The Odd Couple is one of my favorite things ever in any medium, in any genre.
Had you ever heard him speak?
Yeah.
I can't remember what his voice sounds like.
A little Jewy. The look that Joe gives me when I say things. But I would. There's that great PBS special, like Caesar's Writers, where it's all, a lot, not all of it, but a lot of the Carl Reiners and the Mel Brooks and the Neil Simons, on stage talking about those years writing. I also love the Sunshine Boys. I mean, not everything he did was like complete gold, but I did. I mean, though, just between Laughter on the 23rd Floor, The Odd Couple, Your Show of Shows, and Sunshine Boys. I mean, that alone would make him one of my top 10 favorite writers. I don't know if he died with dates on the book. I don't know if he was actively working and, how prolific.
Yes.
But at least I'm not 100% sure his voice either, but I will be doing an impression of him very soon.
Why not now?
Okay. Here's my impression of Neil Simon. Thank you.
Oh, you didn't throw in an oi? On account of the
Jewiness. So like Joe tees it up, so I will say the awful, and he can distance himself.
Yep.
So I'll also be able to do a John McCain impression pretty soon.
Why don't you just tease the audience with your John McCain impersonation?
Here's my impression of John McCain.
He was a funny guy.
You know who likes that impression?
Who? Donald Trump.
Thank you. So seriously, I don't know if you caught any of the John McCain tribute, the service that was on like all the networks the other day.
I did. I was actually home live when they did the memorial service for his family, and I got emotional.
Yeah, I mean, again, hated 90%, 95% of everything the guy stood for. Politically, his life was prolonged in the quality of life because of the amazing health care that he got provided by the government that he spent 30 years trying to keep other people from having. And I'm not going to retry all the things I didn't like about him. I'm not going to pretend that, I was a fan, or at the same time in death, I'm going to forgive and overlook all the things that I hated about him. But I will say a couple interesting things. I don't think I've ever seen photos of him as when he was in the service in a pilot. Did you see, because all those things?
I actually watched the HBO documentary, For Whom the Bell Tolls.
And I mean this with all sincerity. Wow, was he a great looking guy. Like when he was younger, because I never saw the photos of him standing by, his planes and in his service and stuff like that. When he was, I just know him, as the John McCain of I think he's been 60 for the last 45 years. But, a lot of the things, you hear all these stories that, we knew about him being a prisoner of war for so long. And I heard things like, how he acted as a prisoner of war, and he was always lauded, for his, bravery as a soldier. And I didn't know the full details, and you saw the documentary. Did they talk about this, how he refused to be released?
Right, because his father was an admiral, as was his grandfather. And so, he had that notoriety, and he would not be released ahead of other POWs because it wasn't his turn. Just because he's of a certain stature in the military or whatever, because of his family history, he, was there to serve his country, whether or not he made it out of there alive or not.
I mean, just that alone, it's so, when you think about the shit from, Benedict Donald and stuff like that and what he said, and then you hear again, what it really meant, I'm not the flag waver, supporter of troops guy who says everybody who served is a hero and stuff like that. I'm also not besmirching it, but there's
or besmirching.
But there is a difference between somebody who enlisted and served and was stateside or never saw, and somebody who was a POW who was tortured for years, beaten. Oh, I think that falls in the torture thing. But when they realized he was a high value asset and hey, we will trade you him if you give us 10 of our prisoners, and the U.S. government was like, yep, we'll make this trade happen. And John McCain was the one who said, nope. These guys were here before me. I don't leave until they did. That is amazing. And then you hear the stories where he was on campaign and he'd be giving rallies, and people who became part of his inner circle who didn't know him, physically that well, and he'd be getting their applause, and they would hold his hand and try to hold his hand up like a boxer who won and celebrate. He couldn't for ever since the late 60s, couldn't comb his own hair.
Yeah, and he always looked good. But anyways, one of the things that I admired about John McCain, as far as the way he acted as a congressperson and as a human being, was that he always admitted his mistakes, even though he constantly made mistakes.
It agreed. And what's really interesting about his services, and I've said this in weeks past, and we've talked about it. God, I hate the cliche of like working with the other side. It's like, I'm going to reach across the aisle. It's like we are so partisan now. It's in my lifetime.
It's
never
not
been
cliche anymore.
This divided. It's awful. But John McCain was the one. And we said that before. He was really close friends with Ted Kennedy.
With Joe Biden.
He was really close friends with Joe Biden.
He worked with John Kerry to get the MIA POW thing kicked off in the 90s.
Yeah, I mean, that's another one. John Kerry and him, truly friends. Like, not we're just going to get this bill together. And
I don't know if they were, I don't know how
they were well, I remember it was really funny when it was after, 6 months or a few months after Obama had beat John McCain, and the rumors were circulating that John Kerry was about to be named Secretary of State, and it hadn't happened yet. And it was kind of, it was almost like a good nature, like ribbing, like, young kids, like, kind of needling each other. And there was like some press people there, and McCain, we kept calling him like Mr. Secretary. It's like, oh yeah, no, great job, Mr. Secretary. And he turns to him and goes, well, thank you, Mr. President. But they did. And how close they were, I don't know. I've never been in the same room with this.
Right.
But the fact that he asked Joe Biden, and it turns out, sadly, I didn't know that. I knew Joe Biden lost his son, but I didn't know it was the same type of cancer. Really interesting that he had Obama, speak. So
yeah.
And was that? Does he really respect Obama? Because again, they kept playing his concession speech, which was the probably most gracious speech. It wasn't forced, and it didn't feel like somebody else wrote it.
And he was
made
quelling the
it.
booing crowds, and like, no, and they were livid. Like you could see the anger that was brewing in the Republican Party that day when Obama was elected president, and McCain had to deliver his concession speech to his constituents and his supporters. And he was calling for unity and support for the president, as he should, and that it was, a long, hard-fought battle, but, there had to be a winner, and, you have to, respect the leadership of the new president and work together. And what was interesting in the documentary on HBO was that John McCain, in accepting Sarah Palin's nomination, because he originally wanted Joe Lieberman.
He did not want her. People think
it's talking about reaching across the aisle. He wanted fucking Joe Lieberman as his running mate. I mean, that would have been the first,
Well, it's the same thing. It's like, John Kerry, when he was running, actually, and I forget who he was targeting, on his very short list, he had a Republican.
Yeah. So, you had to have this sort of generation of bipartisanship out of, like, the Vietnam War era guys. But in the documentary, they said that in him choosing Sarah Palin, like, he inadvertently, what was once this sort of, like, conspiracy theory fringe weirdo group that was almost had no representation in the government, was now kind of unleashed because of Sarah Palin. Was now kind of brought to the forefront, like, hey, this is sort of like something we could work with here. Like this sort of this hatred kind of mentality, this nationalism. Why don't we do this? Let's do this from now on.
We will not undo this stain for a good 2 generations. And you can pinpoint it to that. Now, do you think he grew to really respect Obama, or was he having Obama speak a real FU to Cittadino?
Cittadini?
A little of both, or?
I think, I think that was a little bit of both. It had to have been. I think he respected President Obama. I don't know if they were like the closest of friends, but Joe Biden is obviously close with Obama. I think he's close with Obama.
In his eulogy, his speech was pretty great.
And I didn't see it myself, but yeah, I think that's a little bit of a fuck you. There was a great picture I saw of Donald Trump approaching a casket, and it's a closed casket, but the casket lid is open just a little enough for an arm with a middle finger to come out of it. And I thought, yes.
Yeah, that guy. Look, okay, now we'll move on.
Oh no, and briefly, what did you? I mean, the pettiest of petty things is the flag lowering, raising, and then lowering.
Like
again.
literally, could you be more of a fuck?
Be more of a cunt.
Seriously,
I reserve the word cunt
for
the President of the United States.
It was lowered for like the day, and then he put it back. And there's a great shot, and by great I mean awful, an overhead shot where you can see the flags, like
in the background,
that
are all at half mast.
All at half mast.
An array of half mast American flags, and at the forefront is the north lawn, the front lawn,
and this piece of shit
with a full mast American flag.
So he tweets out condolences to the McCain family. Doesn't say anything about it's a great loss to the country. Doesn't say one thing about McCain himself. And then on Instagram he sends out a message, dead serious. It's a picture of him with the same statement to the McCain family. It's like you cunt. It's like you put a picture of you. You can't even like the smallest level of civility. And to people like, my mom and our friend Sully's mom, who the older generation who keep saying you got to respect the office, politely fuck off. I mean, there is no respecting. If you can't even upon his death bring yourself to say, anything about him, even one
serve
word.
The country well. Yeah, right. No, fuck him. Not Senator McCain. Donald Trump.
So fuck him. So let's move on a little bit. Another one bites the dust. It wasn't an outright firing, but he tweets out the other day that the White House counsel will be leaving after the midterm elections.
Oh, and who's this counsel?
Don McCain. I'm sorry.
McGann?
John McCabe.
Wait.
McCabe.
Oh, because it has McGann on here. Right?
Oh, maybe it is McGann. I'm sorry. I'm stupid.
Oh, no.
Shut up. I'm sorry. I know I'm
stupid.
Can it be both? But yeah, so this is a guy who it comes out last week that he has sat with, Mueller's team for close to like 30 hours. And it came out in I think it was the New York Times. It's always the New York Times or the Washington Post or Alex Jones. And he... in the White House, the next day, it's like, oh yeah, no, we knew he was working with them and being cooperative, and it's come out several times over the last few months that McGahn has kept Donnie Two Scoops from firing him, from pulling a Saturday Night Massacre, from firing Rosenstein and starting that chain reaction. He's the one person standing in the way now. This is his White House counsel. This is the official White House counsel. So McGahn is representing the office of the President of the United States. He's not Giuliani or any of the other people in the clown car that are representing him and out there on Fox News and whoever else will let him talk and it's exculpatory. He's more and more like a Daffy Duck character, Giuliani is. But so this week, I think it was on Wednesday, people wake to the tweet that, yes, he is leaving after the midterm election, which was a surprise to everybody, including him.
John McCain.
Yeah. And so it's like he wasn't outright fired, but it's a clear thing that
he's given his 3 months notice.
Right.
Sort of thing.
So so it's going to be interesting. And I say interesting. And by interesting, I mean wrap this the fuck up before, you don't get a chance. But, at this point, it's all awful.
It is all awful. And I am looking forward to the Mueller investigation's findings, as is the rest of the world. But, and I'm probably going to take heat for this, as Michael Ian Black once said, I have my doubts that anything that the Mueller investigation uncovers will expedite the exit of said Donald J. Trump.
Here's my wishful thinking.
Which you are the king of. But I'll get over you.
They are now.
I know I will.
They are now, by they I mean the Mueller investigation, and it's hitting closer to home. Like last week on the podcast, we had talked that the CEO of the Trump Foundation has been granted immunity. A guy who has been with Donald's father. I mean, he's literally been with the organization over 40 years. He's working with them. Then it came out this past Thursday or Friday that in the Trump Foundation, the Trump Corporation is a very small. It's they keep it basically.
It's a small family business.
It really is, and now
it's a mom and pop.
And so now it turns out that another high-ranking person in the Trump Foundation has gone to Mueller asking for a get-out-of-jail-free card for immunity. Mm-hmm. And we're told, nope, we got all the information we need. And that's the thing. It's like the closer this gets to his personal finances and his family finances, and again, wishful thinking, but there's a lot of people echoing this.
A lot of people are saying
he might resign, like or strike a deal. Look, I'm done. I'm getting out. But 2 other states are now going after the Trump family for the help me out with this word, the emoluments clause.
The emolument, yeah.
Because there's more and more investigations going out into his personal finances, to the Trump Foundation's finances, to his children's finances, and it's one of those things. It's like the second Manafort trial is set to start like next week, but it's been pushed for a week because they just said, look, Judge, we just got out of this trial. It's just us 3. We haven't had time to go over these different 1,500 documents for this one. So they gave them a week to get their shit together. At the same time, the prosecutors in the first case, they were supposed to let the judge know this past Thursday if they want to retry him on the other 10, the 10 that was a hung jury on. And they asked for an extension to basically find out. It's like, is Manafort ready to flip? Is like the word back and forth because the pressure is getting to him. He's starting this other trial. What if they turn around and say, yeah, as soon as this trial's done in New York, we're going to go back to Virginia and retry you on these other 10. And does that point put the pressure on him to squeeze? Like, again, it's wishful thinking, but I think the overall picture is, to sum it up, he's a cunt.
Yes, indubitably. Not to say that I'm, just because I'm pessimistic of the outcome ultimately of the Mueller investigation, is not to say that I am not in favor of this entire investigation. Of course, this investigation needs to go on, and we need to know how much they can uncover about this family, their dealings, this president, and how it may tie to the Russian government, either directly or indirectly. Just so we have that ammunition in the next election.
And I think a lot of stuff the next election, the election coming up in 2 months.
Well, not the midterms, but the actual
presidential but the one that's coming up in 2 months. We know that the Russians are hacking. And again, the White House last week nixed the funding, the $250 million to put towards like securing the elections as best that they can. I mean, these midterms are already decided. I'm sad to say.
Well, they're not going to throw money at a rigged election.
No, they've already. Yeah, exactly. When you had, 12 or 14 senators in Moscow on the 4th of July. And then you've had other like Rand Paul and a couple others have made solo visits since it. I don't think any Democrats have gone over to meet with the Russians one-on-one since this. Anyways, enough of that. The last awful thing with this fucker. So the guy who wanted the big, I love a parade, like military parade to himself, just put a freeze on raises for federal employees for 2019.
Oh, man.
And it's one of those things where it's like, we're all going to have to tighten our belts. Not
all.
Not all of us, just you. And it is. It's like, how many of those people voted for him or still support him and can sit there and say, wait a minute, weren't you pushing for a didn't we have the budget for you to have a huge parade? And we have the money for that, but we don't have the money.
I never said we had the money for it. I just wanted a parade.
God, I hate him. Okay, so, the last awful thing we'll talk about, and I was going to say it hits close to home, but not really. But where you're a big gamer guy and I'm a gamer, like, all the mass shootings. Let's go down the list now. Elementary schools are off limits. Movie theaters are off limits. Concerts are off limits. And now gaming conventions and tournaments are off limits.
Yeah, this was a weird one. Kind of weird. As in, it shouldn't happen, but it did. So in Jacksonville, Florida, on last Monday, they held a tournament for as a competitive Madden 19 video game competition. It was sanctioned by EA, sponsored. It was run by EA Sports, Electronic Arts, who made the video game Madden and who secured the venue, which was this bar inside a mall that they kind of they kind of fitted out to make a tournament scene, which was of dubious nature to begin with, I guess. If you look at the records, they didn't have the permits to do what they did. Their only security was one mall security guard who may or may not have been at the venue, like in the bar itself when the shooting occurred. But it was literally like a bar in a mall. Like it's like Mr. T's going to be at the mall. Come on down. Mr. T probably had more security for him than this tournament with video gamers. And we know from history that guns are violent. We also know from history that video game enthusiasts can also be violent. We also know from history that Americans in Florida tend to be violent. When you have this perfect storm of violence congregating in one concentrated area, you'd think that you would spring for more security. But alas, no. A kid who was in the tournament got upset that he lost, had a gun on him. I don't know what kind of run. It wasn't an AK-40.
Didn't he lose? He lost day one and came back day two.
Oh, is that how it happened? Oh, I see. Now the plot thickens. So he wasn't even like, he just walked in to the tournament after the fact the next day. I see. Okay. And then he shot up over a dozen people. 10 people were injured. One person died, and then he shot himself. And it was streamed live on Twitch, not the actual shooting itself, and not people dropping. The video had cut out. But you could hear, and I did watch the video. I didn't see anything, but you could hear at least a dozen gunshots going off, and it's horrific. Now, before we jump to conclusions, I do not want people to politicize this, and I don't want people to take a tragedy and politicize it. Now, that woman who was murdered, the girl that was murdered in was it Iowa? By that lousy immigrant,
right?
Yes. Now that is a reason to.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
100%.
Yes. Lock up every immigrant that comes across the border, legal or not. But when it comes to guns, no. Guns are made right here in the good old U.S. of A.
Made right here in Massachusetts. Apparently,
yes, of course.
We didn't know that Smith & Wesson was in Springfield, Mass.
Right. So let's not politicize anything that Donald Trump doesn't want politicized, please. Can we not? And can we not blame the gun? I mean, the gun didn't do anything. I mean, because guns don't kill people.
So let's see. The high school this past year,
Parkland,
Pulse nightclub, Trayvon Martin. Now this in Jacksonville,
and don't forget Vegas.
Well, no, those were all Florida shootings.
Oh yeah.
Like the Pulse nightclub. It was the deadliest shooting in Vegas hold my beer.
Right.
And now this, but yet you still, Marco Rubio is one of the highest NRA recipients of money from the NRA.
Mm-hmm.
Still nothing. And again, I mean, what does it take? Like, if not a high school shooting, if not a nightclub shooting, if not this gaming shooting.
If not Congress people being shot.
Right.
By the way, let us not forget, the President of the United States was shot to death. No, I take that back. 2 presidents of the United States were shot to death.
Yes, but other than that, how was it played, Mrs. Lincoln?
I guess maybe we should just roll over and take it. I think guns win.
You know, the difference in the last
Podcast over.
In the last 30, almost 40 years now, when Reagan got shot,
Yeah.
things fucking changed. And
the
really
Brady bill,
quick.
right.
And quick.
They didn't call it the Reagan bill.
No, they called it the Brady bill.
Uh-huh.
And that was bipartisan. That was across the board. That was, we got to do something about this. And since then, it's gotten tragic. But like I said, it's like now you can cross off another thing you can possibly feel safe at, you know. And again, was this an ISIS plot?
I don't believe so.
What is it? M something? M13?
MS-13?
Was this an MS-13 thing?
No, it was not.
Oh, was it another middle class white dude?
Mentally ill, yes.
Oh, that was yes. Okay, so why aren't we locked up? Like, why aren't we profiled everywhere always?
Just you wait. All right. On that happy note,
All right, let's
take a breather.
go to the rickety stool and rope store.
I was gonna say, I'm gonna loosen this noose, and while we're away, won't you listen to this defunct sponsor of the week?
Hey, Spidey, isn't Marvel's new Pizzazz magazine fantastic? Fantastic, but not perfect. But Pizzazz has the lowdown on Jaws, too, and more Sean Cassidy picks than his mother. It's sensational. Sensational, but not perfect. How about Pizzazz's Goofy Guide to TV? It's wild look at sci-fi movies. It's games, puzzles, comics. What could be more perfect? Me on the cover. Not the Hulk. Pizzazz, the almost perfect new monthly from the off-the-wall gang at Marvel Comics.
All right, so Joe, sport. Breaking news, Joseph.
What?
Do you realize who you are sitting across from right this very moment?
Could it be the most beautiful girl in the world? No.
Close.
Okay.
You are now sharing a podcast with the president of the Worcester 78s of the ABA, the American Basketball Association. It's the equivalent of, let's say, AA basketball. If there's the NBA. Well, actually, maybe it's single A, because you got the NBA, then you got the NCAA, which would probably be AAA. Then they have the G League, sponsored by Gatorade, which used to be the D League. And then under that, you have the American Basketball Association. Yes, the same ABA from the 70s. This league, a couple years ago, bought the name from the people who owned it. They do use the tri-colored ball. And first home game of this season is November 10th on the campus of Worcester State College, a 1,000-seat venue. And yes, as of today, I am now the president of the Worcester 78s of the ABA.
The president of popcorn?
Of business operations.
Well,
basically everything to do with the team that doesn't have to do with bouncing the ball and throwing ball and hoop.
Well, I'll be. Well, hail to the chief.
And you ready for this? If I go down the list, I don't want to say everybody, but almost everybody from the Massachusetts Pirates has made the trip over to get this thing off the ground.
Well, congratulations. Nothing but respect for my president.
Well, thank you. Yeah, about a couple months back, I don't know the Worcester area that well, but I found out about the team. It had its first year the year before. Somebody said, "Hey, the owner Tom, really cool guy. Maybe you have some pointers." And he came to a couple games. We had a bunch of meetings. Really, really great guy. I mean, really passionate about it. Best case scenario, something like this can break even, and it's second. No, I'm serious. It's like it's a lower cost thing. Like I said, they're in 1,000-seat venue. But we're really excited. It's like a lot of people from the Pirates have said towards the end of the season, look, this has been a lot of fun. We got a great group here. I wish we could keep working together. And I said, okay, let's figure out what we can do. Tom was very, very receptive to basically the whole team coming over. So one by one, I would say, hey, what you're doing here with the Pirates, I would like you to do this with us over here, and let me set up a call meeting with, Tom, the owner, and see if we can make something happen. And over the last week since our last podcast, I think it's like 8 or 9 people who were, working with us the last game are now going to be starting up this together. Well, very excited.
Yeah, look at this. So, I'm looking at the website for the Worcester 78s. It's sparse, to say the least, but
it's just getting up and going. Yeah. Well, it was a one guy operation, and Tom's gone from a one guy operation to in a week a full front office staff.
Great. Yeah, I see that your team will play at the Wellness Center on campus at Worcester State University.
Second year. That building's only 2 years old. One of the kids, Pat, who worked with us at the Pirates, he's also a Division III college basketball player at Colby Sawyer, and he said, hands down, the nicest Division III college facility in the area, in the region, is that brand new wellness center on the campus of Worcester State.
I wish to make an on-air inquiry. What would it take for Carnival Personnel to be the official podcast of the Worcester 78s?
You know what? We will have, because Tom, we're going to start, he's going to start a podcast with players and, have some of the sponsors on, have some local basketball, figures on and stuff like that. But I've asked him to actually come on and talk 78s basketball on Carnival Personnel.
Over Skype, of course.
No, he will make the incredulous journey from Worcester here.
The poor man. You're trying to get off on the right foot.
But so we'll start off sport with the big announcement.
Well, congratulations to you, the Worcester 78s, the city of Worcester, and America.
And how many more Worcester 78 games do you think I can get you to go to than Pirate games?
Look, well, probably, 3 times as much? I mean, I'm looking at the schedule, and it looks like they have a handful of home games.
They play 10 home games.
Oh, is it 10?
Yep. And their road games, I think they go as far as Elmira, out to New York, and there's a team in the Bronx. There's a team in upstate, Pennsylvania. So the ABA itself, it's more modeled after the NCAA. There's series 140 teams, so they have regional champions. So it's basically putting single A baseball or double A baseball under one sort of umbrella. In double A baseball, there's the Carolina League, there's the Florida League, the Arizona League, the summer leagues, the winter leagues. So what they're trying to do is corner the market the one step under the G League.
Yep. So you'll be playing in the Northeast Division of the American Basketball Association. All right.
So very, very excited.
Well, there you have it.
And seriously, the best part about it is, Tom has been a really great guy, and everybody, Price is Right, who's, coaching football right now, but a lot of the kids that he brought into the fold are going to be working with it. But, Rodney, the announcer, our buddy Steve just talked to the dance coach, Monica, today, Kidani, going down the list. I'm really excited because the best part about the Pirates was working with these guys. It was a really great group of people, all brought a lot to the table, very stressful environment, but there was truly no friction between the game op staff. As crazy as some of the games got, as all the curveballs that we had thrown at us, it was really fun. And truly, going into the last game, there was almost the end of high school or the end of college or something like that, where you were excited, you're getting through it, you get your life back if the season's over, but then the realization is hey, when am I going to get to hang out with these people? Under what circumstances?
Yep.
And so we were able to create this, Very excited about it.
Well, good for you.
Now moving on to other things in sport.
Is there a 4-point rule?
No, it's not like the big three. But the NBA, sticking with basketball, the NBA, and it's been rumored it was happening. It's not been rumored. The Commissioner League has come out a year ago and says, "Yeah, I'm all for gambling. Let's put it out there. Let's stop pretending that sports is not driven 100% by gambling." And there's still only a couple states where you can have gambling on the books. Like, I think it's like Vegas. I think Jersey, you can have like sports books and stuff like that. But all these, what do you call it? These daily betting things. I'm blanking on the name.
Right, like DraftKings.
DraftKings and stuff like that. Come on, it is what it is.
They only make multi-billions of dollars. And
so, and basically the NBA is the first league to come out and say, we endorse this, we're in, cut us in. We want a piece of the pie. They want to regulate it and make sure, because point shaving has been around for absolutely, ever, throwing, what point shaving is?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I didn't mean to sound like,
No, I know, I get it. I see. You see the glasses and the video games and the small penis, and you think, and yes, you can see my penis, of course.
No, but yeah, it's. I don't know why everybody else hasn't. Like the NFL, the reason the NFL does so well is it's gambling. It's driven by it. The reason out of town games get the viewership they do, and they've always have, it's been driven by gambling. So the NBA this week is the first one to say, yep, all in this season, here we go.
And the ABA, are they also driven by gambling?
Well, you know what, as the president of the Worcester Serenade, let me weigh in where I thought, open for business. But the other news is, as we sit here, a big FU to All-Star Tommy, who is calling me a fair weather fan because I'm not on Patriot bandwagon yet. Because it's true. It's like everything I said. I haven't busted. I'm not sitting here in any Patriot paraphernalia, which by this point of the year, even my poop stains, spell out Patriot or look like the flying Elvis. And I'm not. I'm still not. With the first games 6 days from now, Joe. 6 days from now, 3 days from now, the season kicks off on Thursday Night Football, but the real season starts 6 days from now.
Sunday.
Patriots home against the Houston Texans. I'm going to watch the game. I'll probably be wearing my Brewski shirt, but the normal thing was forever, at least since Brewski's been on the team since the late 90s, I would wear the same Brewski jersey Friday, Saturday through the game, and if they won, on Monday, and if they lost, no, and not because of the fair weatherness, Tommy. It's because it was just too painful to look at. It just hurt too much. It's like you don't carry around a picture of your ex-wife.
I do.
Of
your ex.
Your ex-wife. I was married.
What was I going to say? The tradition on Carnival Personnel, we've been on a year, is that before the season starts, our resident Patriot guru, Jacques, would give his picks as to what the outcome of certain games would be throughout the year, meaning every game that the Patriots played in the regular season and potentially postseason. Are we doing that this year? Are we at least doing a record?
We can do a whole sideshow.
What?
I'm happy to do a sideshow.
Well, I guess it'll have to be this Thursday.
Would it be this Thursday?
Yeah, because
okay, yeah,
right, because
Done.
Once the season starts next Sunday.
It's 6 days from now.
Yeah, so the only time to do it would be this.
Will be a short sideshow because I'm still upset. I'm still and again, it's not that Brady's getting older or the division's getting better or we're going to go and be like 11-5. I think we're going to be 12-4, but probably 11-5. It's all the bullshit. Gronk had his salary restructured. He got a little bit upfront money this week, and if he hits all his bonuses, he will be the highest paid tight end in football. Which again, it's like I say it now. a year ago or this offseason when he was holding out and he was doing his WWE thing and when he was doing motocross and all this stuff, when he wasn't showing out for the OTAs, I'm like, somebody will give you your first round draft pick for him. Like literally, Belichick's always got rid of somebody a year early, not a year late. But the question is, was he allowed to? Like he wasn't allowed to keep Garoppolo. Was he forced to keep, Gronk, who obviously isn't as dialed in? I mean, him and Brady never missed OTAs. Not only did they miss them, they were out doing reckless, stupid shit.
Yeah, I think you're right. I mean, Gronk's a big name and a big draw, and and an asset. Like when he's on, he's on.
Look, and last year the outlier because he played all 16 regular season games last year. No, he basically sat out week 16 because everything was locked up. I think he played like one down or one possession or something like this. Just
enough.
Because they didn't have to play a round one playoff game. So, so he wasn't going like 4 weeks without playing.
Yep.
But yeah, he stayed healthy and he was great. Now he was at camp. He wasn't doing the shit in the offseason. He was at all the OTAs. So, like I said, I'm upset that I'm not as excited about this, because at this part of the season, like the hurt from February has decided it's still there, but the optimism for what's coming up.
Do you think maybe they're just keeping him around for trade bait?
No, I think literally they're keeping him around because Brady has nobody to throw to week one except Chris Hogan.
Yeah.
That's it.
Or Matt Hogan.
Is
it Matt Hogan?
No, it's Chris Hogan.
Oh my God. Who the hell's Matt Hogan? Who's this Cheryl?
But so I think as far as, let me look. Yeah, we're all done with sports.
Yay!
Which brings us to
the random video game review of the week.
Do you want me to go with another Atari because of
the Art of Atari book? Thank you for that, by the way. I've read it cover to cover, and I don't read books. But if I'm gonna hide money, it's not gonna be in this book. Don't go with another Atari game. Go with anything you want. For always going with the old Nintendo.
Can you go wrong?
It looks like to me that it's somewhere between Phantom Fighter and I want to say Pinbot. It's let's see, man. It starts with is it what the heck? I'm gonna be kicking myself. It's like a PI game, I'm guessing. I forget what it is. Was it a Pitfall 2? No, it's not Pitfall. It is.
It's sad.
Oh, it is Pinball.
Because you said it.
Oh, okay. What the hell is that up there? That's Pinball that I'm looking at way back there.
What, is it your backup copy of Pinball?
I have 2 Pinbots. Nobody has 2 Pinbots. Pinbot.
Well, you must be rich.
Yeah. It's I guess a video game that has to do with pinball and robots. It's not quite a pinball. It's not quite a robot. It's Pinbot. I believe it's. I don't even know who makes this because I only have the cartridge, and they didn't have the common courtesy to put the developer's name or the licensee's name on the cartridge cover. So that I think this is good though. I think it's one of these like upper end.
Now I'm going to interrupt you. You keep saying, "I think." It's leading me to believe you haven't played this.
No, I have not. I have not played Pinbot.
Did you just get it because it was a wall-bearing game?
Exactly. It's a load-bearing game that I needed. The stability in my life. What I have been playing, I did pick up a couple other games. I bought Metroid: Samus Returns for the Nintendo 3DS, which is a remake of Metroid 2 for the Game Boy.
Slow down. They're writing this down.
I know. Seriously, there will be
wait. But what system?
A Nintendo 3DS.
That's the handheld.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's a modern game. I just got it today. I'm enjoying it. It's very nice. It's a Metroid game. You can't go wrong with Metroid.
Let's pretend I don't know what a modern game is.
A modern game.
Oh, modern game.
I just said modern because I'm transposing the E and the R on the game. It's a thing.
I believe
us,
you.
Us nerds don't say that. Nobody says that. But back to Pinbot. I'm sure this is a very nice pinball game with a robot aesthetic. And according to the Ultimate NES Guide by Pat Contry, Pinbot is a 3.5-star game. Well, I'll be. It's developed by Rare. Rare, they made GoldenEye for the Nintendo 64. They make the Donkey Kong Country games. They were bought out by Microsoft in the 2000s, and they stopped making Nintendo games since then. Now they're on Microsoft's dime. But they were like one of the bigger developers, one of the better developers. And this is a pretty decent game. It's for somebody who likes pinball, and actually, if you look at these screen grabs, not too shabby.
Not bad.
Yeah, not too shabby for a shitty pinball game for the Nintendo. No, it's not shitty. It's a nice game for the Nintendo Entertainment System. I'm glad I own it. And if I were to guess how much it would cost on eBay, card alone, I'm going to guess $9. And it's $5.79. Ooh,
$2 for shipping. So
Yeah.
you want that off?
right, okay.
$1.20 off.
yeah, all right. That's pretty good. So okay, it's maybe I will play it. Maybe I will, but maybe I won't.
But your vacation ended.
You're right. My vacation's over. I don't have the time now until they fire me. Then I'll have all the time in the world.
So by Wednesday,
Yeah, seriously. They just gave me 24 hours to clean up my desk. So that's it. What are you watching on Netflix?
this week, a lot of nothing. The only thing I've really been watching, and you might appreciate this, for some reason, about a week ago, I decided, because I'm an adult, because I'm a grown-up, because it's time to get the kids ready to go back to school, because I'm now president of the Worcester 78s, the ABA, it was time to buckle down, cut out the nonsense, the bullshit, and pop in Arkham City.
Yeah!
and play the second installment of the Arkham series.
The best Arkham game.
Came out in 2011.
Who's the developer?
Put in the. I do know this. It's Rocksteady.
Rockstar Game.
No,
Rocksteady.
It is Rocksteady.
Rocksteady, that's right.
Thank you. You will like this. Put in the game. Wouldn't it load? Take it out. Clean it up. Put it in. Wouldn't it load? And once you have it in your head, it's like going to bed and thinking, I'm going to jerk off, and then try not to.
Right.
Like this.
Internet won't work.
Once you make that commitment,
Uh-oh, the internet's down.
that's it.
Let's see if I can break into my neighbor's internet.
Sears catalog anywhere. Where's that J.C. Penney?
Is Sears anywhere?
Is Mrs. Bradley still a thing? Anyways, so I'm gonna say this lovingly. I pulled a Joe. I got in the car, went to GameStop, and rebought the game. I don't want to say how much it is. Let's just say it's a lot.
Right.
I think it was like
$14.
$6.
Oh,
but because I have, again, because I'm a grown up, because I'm taking care of my finances, and I'm like, dialed into the college fund, I have my,
Reward card.
that it brought it down to like $4.95 or something like that. Went home, played it, and it's great because there's a really fun hack in it. There's a thing where if you play on the heart level or above, you can you have to know how to do this thing with the controller. Hello, ladies. You can make them all giant head.
Oh,
so
wow.
it looks like look it up. Look,
there's a little sheet there.
do Arkham City Big Head, and it's hysterical.
Oh, great.
It's fun. There's maybe. I don't think you have to beat the whole game, or maybe you do before it unlocks like 10 different Batman outfits. Like you can be Batman from Batman Begins. You can be the 66 Batman. You can be like the 80s Batman.
What system is it for?
It is for the PS3.
So you have a working PS3?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, I'm lucky. I mean, you're lucky. I have 2 broken PS3s.
One of my greatest fears, Joe, is one of my greatest fears because all that, Resident Evil 5 magic and weapons that are loaded, yes.
Once you lose your hard drive, man,
exactly.
Gone, baby, gone.
And so what I've been doing, what I've been watching this week to wrap up my end. So I beat the game, and a couple. It's a long game.
Yeah.
It's like Arkham, and you've seen.
Did you 100% it kind of
Well,
deal?
Arkham Asylum, start to finish, I can 100% that. And I can beat the entire game and go back and get all the try. I can beat the game start to finish in a little under 3 hours. I can go back in a little under an hour after that and get all the Riddler trophies and stuff like that. On this, you can't. I mean,
there's some hard ones.
There's a lot.
There's a lot.
How many would you guess?
Riddler trophies?
Yes.
Gee, I mean, I haven't played it in years. I'm gonna say 100, about 100 something.
440.
Holy fuck!
And some of them are these pains in the asses where you have to fly, land on a building, and without touching anything else, jump off and land on it. Glide to another one, like back and forth, like 4 times.
Pixel perfect kind of stuff.
Oh, it is. So I beat the whole game with the exception of the Riddler trophies, but it's part of the game. He's like, and he taunts you the whole time, like all throughout the city. He hacks your radio and he talks shit to you, or like, as you're going through the city, like, he projects himself on a building.
And you can hear it echoing through the alleys.
Yeah, he took all these hostages, and once you get 100, he tells you a location, and it's a challenge thing inside. Once a death trap. You can get the 5th prisoner when you get 320, but you don't get the final prisoner till 400. So you don't have to get all 440 before you do the final Riddler, thing, but you don't 100% it.
You're right.
And again, some of them, what the fuck? I want to find the people who thought, okay, what you're going to do is have them throw this batarang off this huge building down into the sewer, have it loop around the corner. It's got to go through an electrified field.
I hate that thing. I know the remote batarang. You
have it come back the same direction.
Yeah.
Through the tunnel.
You have to do like a beeline. Like you hit the end, you get and then you make a beeline and do the thing in reverse.
Or slope up. Like you have to, turn a corner, and as you turn the corner, an event.
And luckily, there's like slow motion bullet time stuff where you can kind of slow it down.
And if I can do it in 20 tries, I'm okay with it. It's like I want to go out and get a big dog so I can kick something.
My goodness.
But what I've been doing is a lot of that. Now, here's what I've been watching. I could probably get 350 by myself, but there's almost 100 that I have to watch some little fuck.
The YouTube videos.
The YouTube.
Oh, yeah.
That's what I've been watching this week, Joe. I've been watching the Riddler trophy hunt.
The walkthroughs
on YouTube.
No shame in that if you're 10. Which you are at heart. I'm going to suggest a documentary series on Netflix real quick. It's called Evil Genius, and it's about this bank heist that went wrong in Erie, Pennsylvania in 2003. A pizza delivery guy was under duress, a hostage situation kind of thing. He walked into a bank, gave them a pre-written note, and then told them, give them $250,000, whatever. And then he walks out. Under his shirt, he has a bomb handcuffed to his neck by a man, like a custom-made like it's like one part of a handcuff, like what you have attached to your briefcase right now. It's but it's big enough to go around a neck. And it's attached. It's hardwired to a bomb. So if you try to disconnect it or whatever, the bomb goes off. And it's on a timer. Long story short, the police surround him. Not too far from him coming out of the bank. They determine that he's not lying when he says he has a bomb strapped to him, and that that somebody else had put this bomb on him and made him go rob the bank. And the bomb goes off, and he dies. The documentary explains who masterminded it, what the pizza guy's relationship may have been with this group of people, and it's fucking fascinating. It's they don't spend they don't show too much of the actual incident of him blowing up, so it's not too gory. But it's fascinating about how this came about, and it's just it's this web of people in the area that you think are unrelated, but somehow eventually they kind of piece together that they all kind of knew each other, and it's really funny. One thing I will note, that the person of interest of that they determined might be the mastermind of the bank heist is this person in prison. They're rambling. They're kind of crazy. They write a lot of letters to the producer of this documentary. Like the producer of the documentary becomes a pen pal of this, suspect in prison for another crime, by the way, not this crime. And they're writing back and forth, and it's this rambling kind of, blaming everybody else but themselves. Very presidential, I just want to say. Very presidential.
So he's a cunt.
They are.
Cunts.
Yes.
Plural.
Yes. The people in general. I don't want to say whether it's a man or a woman. It's a woman. But very presidential, I will say. At least that's what my take was. That's not what the documentary was putting out there. I just looked at the person.
Do you know if the pizza guy, if the victim was part of it?
I don't want to.
Or does it leave it up to you to kind of?
It's not. No, it doesn't leave it up to you. It's 4 parts, 4 episodes, like 45 minutes each.
And what's it on?
Netflix.
Okay.
It's called Evil Genius, and it's a good, quick kind of true crime thing. I say watch it.
You got a parenting tip now that you now officially have a college student. Congratulations.
Sort of. Yeah. It's
Stop.
It's my parenting tip would be, and I think I've already given this parenting tip: plan ahead for your children's college potential future. Do the scholarships, do the financial aid,
do 8 hours of dry land training for a sport to be determined.
Yes, exactly.
Every day,
right? Just do what you can, and then and don't force your child to go into a college if they're not, apt for it. Not to say that my son is not apt for it, but I'm thinking everybody has this notion like I have to have a college degree. Maybe. Not necessarily, because, even the most successful people come out, hundreds of thousands of dollars in debt. No small task to pay down. Imagine if you're a graduate and not a big success. I mean, everybody, a lot of people can graduate college. Not a lot of people can earn the living that will require you to pay off that debt in less than 25 years.
Right, here.
So, just weigh your options is what I'm saying. Maybe flip burgers and masturbate. Maybe that's their lot in life. Who knows? Jacques, what's your parenting?
Go on. Sometimes, Joe, you just got to say what the fuck. So this past week, my little Hope Dashers started school. Tuesday was brutal. It was absolutely almost 100-degree day. Not the end of the world, except I think the humidity factor was 104. Not really sure how that works out, but it was brutal. And so
the icon on the weather that day was the sun fanning itself.
And so we got home. The oldest one had like a half day, picked him up. His little brother got home like an hour and stuff later. And we're just going in the pool. And so
pool hall?
literally walked down to the pool, and the little guy who's 8's like, mom's like, all right, go get your suits on. Let's just get in the pool. And the little guy's like, nope. Trot, jump, splash, all his clothes. To which his older brother's like, I'm going to do that. Jumps in the pool with their clothes on. Look, and we're both like, awesome. It's like, look, they're going to get washed anyways. What's the big
And they'll
difference?
be dry in like 10 minutes.
So then they get out of the pool, and they're like, okay, they start taking off their clothes, completely naked. They both just jump in. They thought that was the greatest, funnest thing to do. And then all of a sudden they hear, run, jump, splash.
Mailman. Oh.
Me.
Okay. Wow.
Birthday suits all of us. And it's one of those moments where the boys are like...
And coincidentally, it was my birthday?
So to celebrate Joe's birthday, and management did. She took a great picture, because then we all just jumped in. She took a great picture the little guys in our holding hands, just jumping in. She gets us just as our asses are below the water line, but you can still see maybe the slightest bit of crack in the top to see. Oh,
classy.
It is, and it's one of those things. It's like you don't get a chance to just. And it was one of those moments where the boys were like, first of all, they like just jumped in to kind of get a reaction to the clothes and the fact that we thought that was great, especially little guy, him really well. It's like, well, that didn't work. Let's try this to see if I can get a rise out of them. And then, he half wants to get a rise, half loves the fact that we are cool with, yeah, go ahead, just jump in your clothes. Who the fuck cares? Let me see the Post-it rules on the side of our Nope.
Right.
No rules up there.
And there's nothing in the rule book that says an elephant can't pitch.
And they did. They just thought that was the best thing that, that I would just nude up and jump in. And don't be afraid to be a complete nude-ass goofball in your own pool, in your own yard, with your own kids.
Just have high fences, please.
Our fence is about like 6 feet high.
Oh, good.
I mean, chain linked.
Right, but
and literally, like, maybe one neighbor, if they pick their head around their pool and cockeyed, and, and hey, if you want to go that hard to take a look, God bless you.
And shame on that nosy Mrs. Ochmonic next door.
But that's my parenting tip. Sometimes you just got to say, what the fuck?
Good for you guys. I'm glad you're so free-spirited and queer. Queer is in, unusual. I'm making queer back. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm leaving queer alone.
Had a gay old time.
Yes, good. Good for you guys. So that's it. I guess we're doing a sideshow.
It will be short.
Please. I guess it'll be the 2018-19 season of the Patriots kickoff kind of deal where Jacques makes his predictions on how well the Patriots will trounce the other teams.
I did well last year. I had the correct record.
Okay.
I had them at 13-3, but two of the games I had them. I had the wrong games that they lost.
Right.
And I
didn't get the last.
Didn't
one.
have the last one.
No, you didn't make it
because Bill Belichick,
right,
wanted to play Malcolm Butler. He's a cunt.
All right. I guess that's it for the podcast. Jacques, it was a pleasure doing this podcast with you.
I'm sorry, Joseph. Didn't mean to cut you off, but I did. As we record this, we are 3 weeks from today. You will be at Ralph's in Worcester, where the Rationales will be apologizing for Dan and I with their set. And this is one of the songs that hopefully will be in it will be on the set list. Little love song called Laid.
A classic, an oldie but a goodie. So that's it, Jacques. I have nothing else to say. Do you?
Nope, just that and one more thing. Don't forget.
Listen